tennis, that's a sport of common reason, sense, and instinct. We need intelligence for it, and how you play, you have to think about it. So, without techniques, we have no tactics in tennis. The most important aspects in tennis are just working on your legs. So, if you're working on your hands as well, and with your head. So, I can say from downwards to upwards, starting in this position, you can start to improve your game of this wide sport. My name is Jarkaj. I am just teaching professional in the Federal Republic of Germany. And I will be very grateful to the United States Tennis Association for its help for me in direction of this wide sport, as well as the USPDR, United States Professional Tennis Registry, by the Dennis van der Meer Tennis University in Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, US. I will just be talking today about serve and its hockey US. And now, as I said about serve, I will discuss this subject here, and later about ground strokes, forehand, backhand, and volley. We need on the first stage just ground strokes, forehand and backhand. If you will just find a joy on tennis court, you must start with your ground strokes from the baseline, what you're doing from there. And that's the purpose of bringing the ball over the net. And later, we are starting with a serve. You cannot just begin your game without serve. Otherwise, you could just have lost many frames about that. And volley, the ball which you just try to meet before the contact with the ground, with the spot. At least in necessary position, in necessary situation. I will just start with the serve and its aspects. If you are starting to play tennis and thinking about serving, the most important thing here is just that you take into consideration these aspects. First and foremost thing is just to bring the ball into the court, into the service box. Okay, I'm using this court and bring the ball into the court. Alright, if you just have a range, if you've got certainty in it, self-confidence, you're trying the second aspect of it, you just want to bring the ball down the line on your serve to backhand side of the opponent and to the forehand side. So you're playing down the line, and you're reaching backhand side of the opponent, as well as front court, you're reaching just forehand side of your opponent. If you're certain about that, you bring, of course, more speed into the trajectory of the ball. And the next class is just to bring it into the middle of the service box. So in turn, it means backhand side, you bring it into the middle of the service box, and you bring it into the cross court of the service box. Why have I chosen just to play to serve into the middle of the court? I have any purpose in it. Just to bring my opponent, or playing just return, to bring him into difficult situation that his body will be shifting, will be transferred on the backward foot here. Alright, this brings him just to defensive position. He cannot just make pressure against me so easily as it is according to him, to his purpose, and at least if he can. It is not possible to use it all the time. The next aspect here on the serve is to play it just with the spin, whether I am playing with a slice or a twist or top spin. Slice, when I am just tossing my ball on the right side of the body, very slightly, and it hits its trajectory from outside from the right side to the left side. And I can also manipulate with this rotation of the ball. And I can play into backhand side, but then I think that this slice ball is flying on the right side of the belt of the net here. Alright? So on the right side, on the outside of the court. Again, one more time. And it gets just turned to the left side of the court. Then, that's the most advantageous ball if I'm trying to play it just into the body of the court, and it gets just turned to the left side forward. If I want to play into the body this ball, I'm taking my aim, my purpose to play slightly on the backhand side of the court, around about 1 meter in Europe, on the left side of the opponent. Because this ball of its rotation gets turned to the left side. Then, if I just reach this purpose on this side by playing the ball into the body of my opponent, that's it. If I just practice my serve, with our opponent I can put a purpose on the next side of the court, on the corner of the deuce court, of the baseline, and try to cut the corner between the single sideline and the baseline. And I have to try to beat the ball so often as possible to reach this purpose. If I'm playing just slice to the forehand side of my opponent, it must be short regularly. That means he has to leave the singles sidelines. I did not reach my purpose right now. My purpose is when I cut the sideline on the left side. This was the purpose for me. That's that. Now, alright, what do I have of it? The opponent just reach position of outside the cards. Then I open just my inverted commas, my window to my world, and try to put the ball to the next corner. If he's just thrown out, if he's jammed on the card by the short ball, I'm trying to use the next ball long. If he's thrown by a long ball, I'm trying to use it by a cross court, short cross court. Alright? That's the slice. We have more advantages on slice when I'm playing this stroke of the serve from the deuce court, from the right side of the court. Alright? Next is just topspin serve. It belongs to the family of spins, underspin, slice, and topspin serve. When I'm tossing my ball just straight on or slightly to the left side. And I can just direct this ball from left to the right side. The topspin serve and its difference is to the slice, I mean, but its jump, its rebounds will be higher than any serve, any kind of serve, flat serve, cannon serve we just call it, or the slice serve. I can play my topspin serve in the case when my opponent has difficulties on height just of the shoulder level or higher, and he's stepping back or have no courage just to punish this ball, inverted commas, punish this ball, and to use this dynamic. That means to find momentum before my body, and momentum, that's a free space which is supposed to be used just by the racket, not by the ball. This area does not belong to the ball at all. Alright, So that's the spin serve. I mean topspin. Again, streamer. Again, directed left or right. But usually, to take on account the juice cord, I am trying to play this topspin serve into the backhand side of my opponent. Alright, we can find many errors between tennis pros, between tennis trainers, that they are just maintaining American twist serve is exactly the same as topspin, and usually it's said in Europe. There is though difference between them, because just the twist serve comes with its toss more to the left, and I just try to bend my trunk, my back to the left side backwards. The difference between topspin serve and the twist serve is, or topspin serve, I try to burden the left leg immediately when I shift my body. Once again, there's no difference whether I am standing on court and shifting to the left knee of my foot, or I am using dynamic. I'm gonna forward. Alright? And the mass of my body, its transfer, helps me to save energy about that. That was topspin serve. Slice serve, that's a family of topspin serve. Sorry, not slice serve, but twist serve. Excuse me. And twist serve is more extreme, and its bounce, its rebounds is higher, still higher and slower than on the topspin serve. I'm trying to make it to do a toss just to the left side, and the body backward is so much burden that it constrains me, just brings me to transfer to the backward. Once again, look at the left foot right now. And my back. I step in, step forward. Alright? Once again, twist serve. Alright. There are many people who are just jumping into the court with the left foot. One more time. Or to the right. Alright? And we make some steps more, maybe even. Alright. The topspin serve is more has more advantage when I'm trying to use it more from the end court, from the just use court slice serve. Now I'm coming down to the next aspect of the serve, where I'm using just the hard serve, cannon serve. That's a flat serve. Alright? This very serve is very difficult to play with a short cross court, and usually players who are playing hard balls are not using short cross courts, unless they are just thrown, they are just jammed out of the court more, and then you have more chance for better angle to throw the opponent back with your return ball. Alright? So that's a hard serve. If I want to produce more power, this hard flat serve. The secret is on your toss. How much momentum do you leave for your toss? Your free space, which is supposed to be used by the racket, by swing of the racket, not by the ball. Don't forget about it. Where do you look to just on your toss? Many trainers here in Europe just using they are just maintaining that you should just fix your eyes on the ball all the time, entire time. That's wrong. That's wrong to look at the ball all the time. You have to look to the spot where you're supposed to meet the ball. That's the hard serve. If I want to produce still more power on it, I have to try to meet this ball in jumping. What does it mean in jumping? The point of contact is higher. Of course, I have to take into consideration just my free space called momentum for a better swing. And I'm trying to jump. Okay? More serve. I'm trying to jump. You can produce more power about that. Alright. What I will add on the serve are some differences. And that requires different styles of play. For instance, Kane of Italy or Ivan Lendl of Czechoslovakia, they are shifting their weight before previous transfer, weight transfer. They are shifting their body before. It means they are not getting backward anymore, but they are just using forward transfer of their body by burning of the left foot forward simultaneously with the toss of the ball. That means here. I go forward right now. That's Ivan Lendl or Kane of Italy. I'm getting right now. And this very serve is just a very simple serve, alright? You can learn it earlier, sooner, and better. But you have to feed it to your style. And that depends how long you're playing, how long have you played your serve before. You can try it, alright? What means the serve? I want to show some tactics about serve. If you go with dynamic into the court, I call it tact A or tact ABC. Tact A, it means when I'm getting just like Björn Borg of Sweden and landing on the court inside. Forward, inside, and getting back. Forward, inside, and getting back. That's tact of the serve, dynamic of the serve. Now, I will add tact to 3. It means A, B, C. It will be fast as well, but you make just 3 little steps. Okay? This very step on tact A was just bigger than these 3 ones when I'm getting into the court. So look please upon that. I'm getting into tact to 3. Forward, A, B, C. 1, 2, 3. I'm getting back right now. You have to start. You have to break. And you have to get back. These 3 aspects are extremely important here. Now, if you're using your tact 3, A, B, C, it's extremely important to use your toss more forward, that you use your momentum for swinging motion of your racket. If you want to get more speed into the serve, it's decisive to use the speed of swinging of the racket more than any other part of this racket. No matter whether it is grip, it is heart of the racket, or any other part than the head. What I will add right now on the serve, if you're using, for instance, just slice serve, I was talking about it already, but now about tactics more. The slice serve is then effective if you try to cut the short line of the service box. your opponent must be constrained to leave the court in 100%. You can be certain if you're running to the net to pick up your volley, to meet it in the highest point, you have more court and more chance on it to place the ball into the spot where you want. Alright. Now, what just meets the serve on acts A, B, C. By not playing correctly first serve, for instance, maybe only today, and have more terrible problems with the second serve. Third, where do you use more speed? Speed on the second serve, speed of the racket. Why? Because swinging motion of the racket's head brings more acceleration and speed of the racket than on the serve. One, because the swinging motion to rotation is higher and sooner, that means is faster than the first serve, which I use with the power. It means when I am using my racket acceleration on the first serve, on me, the trajectory of the ball is high, extremely high. But we have more acceleration on the rotation serve when I am using just slice serve or topspin serve. The racket hand is extremely accelerated. And totally, if you want to count just these all speeds, racket acceleration on rotation serve, I mean the slice or topspin serve, is higher than on the flat serve. That's it. On the serve, what is the most important to be considered? So look to the spot where you just toss your ball, alright? Don't forget what makes the serve. Paying attention where you stand. That is